And welcome once again, folks, to another episode of Quiet Please, the golf podcast show. I'm Alan Depew, and our panel every week we have the best experts in the business for wide-reaching backgrounds to try to offer you some perspective on what's going on in golf, what's going on maybe with your golf game, and occasionally just shoot the beep. But anyway, hey. Questions. I've got who do I have here? I got Brendan Elliott, Little Linkster's noted correspondent of the world of golf. Hello,
Good evening.
Brendan.
Good evening.
Good evening. To my lower right, Boston Bob Baldessari. Bobby, how we doing?
Cheers. Cheers, cheers, cheers.
Cheers, cheers. And you can't forget him. Bottom left, Mr. Andy Hydorn, the ever-present one.
Yes, I'd like to be more ever present, but I'm here this week.
Well, you know who's not present is our little prettiest podcaster, and he was kicking back with a Woodford and probably had a little mixer in there, probably a Q mixer, in fact.
Oh.
Oh. I'll tell you what, I'm not gonna lie to you. I had Q mix. I took the week off last week, folks. That's why we missed the show. I literally disconnected from life. If you've not disconnected, okay, it's a beautiful thing. House we moved into down in Outer Banks, out on the four-wheel drive beach. If you want to go on my personal Facebook, I have all kinds of pictures of horses and waves and me sitting in the surf. But the most important part was the internet didn't work in the house, and I didn't have my hotspot with me. So I was abandoned to solely my phone to try to run multiple businesses.
Wow.
That's a good spot to go for unplugging. Outer Banks.
It's a tremendous spot, and especially when you reach the end cap of the only grocery store in Corolla. And you know what they had?
What did they have?
Q mixers. Allow
Begins
me.
with a Q.
Ends with a mixer.
Ends with a mixer.
There it is. Oh, it's lovely. It's lovely.
The lovely
Oh.
ginger beer.
That's well played. Well played.
Yeah.
Product placement.
Very smooth in its presentation, and you could just simply crack it, and it's so refreshing. And why is it refreshing, Andy?
Well, because it's made with all natural ingredients, it's sweetened with agave nectar. I mean, it's the real deal. And
The agave nectar is what got me.
yeah. And it can definitely smooth out any of your favorite liquors for sure.
Well, I dropped a little Tito's in there, and I just kicked back. And again, Facebook, if you want to check it out, don't comment on the girth because I'm trying to work on that. But I'm literally in a beach chair as waves are bouncing off of me.
Got good color, like up on top too.
Yeah, and that's at the point where I put the Titleist. I took Bobby's lead and I put the Titleist
The
Wide
bucket.
wide
Bucket.
rim on. Yeah, yeah. Didn't touch golf clubs. Didn't even touch a fishing pole. I literally did nothing.
You had a Homer Simpson vacation.
Oh,
Nothing is good. They talk about that in learning. Like you learn and you think and you do better things when you unplug, when you do nothing. Like doing nothing is actually doing something.
true. This is true.
Yep.
I think that's why Robert Walden went into the woods to write his novels, right? Into the woods.
Walden Pond up by
That's on-
Indiana.
It's on Route 2, Bobby, right?
Yep. I've driven by it. I've been to it.
Yeah.
I've been to it. I've gone into deep thought there.
Yeah.
I thought the key to golf, left arm straight, head down. That's
Yeah.
all you need to know. Deep thoughts.
That's deep
Well,
thought by
I am personally going to find that out because I want to foreshadow. I'm going to get the specific date. I am going to be the guest breakdown of my golf swing sometime in the near future. I'm a fill in. And who am I filling in with, BE?
That would be me on Golf Live. That's
Oh
gonna be
boy.
fun.
Golf Live.
There we
Elaborate.
go.
What is Golf Live?
There we go.
Well, my turn for some product placement. Golf Live is a patented app that takes a technology everybody's very familiar with, like a FaceTime type situation where you're using video in real time, and it's set up to be able for coaches to use all the drawing tools that we're all used to on things like V1 and other technologies, and you can do screen captures of a live lesson and then replay that back for a student. And I love that feature because I can go around 9 holes with kid up in New York playing at my old home course, and if he hits a really good tee shot and he's like, wow, I felt something there, I'm like, I can play it back for you. I mean, it's just really cool technology. But they do a live stream too. There's a live stream that you can do where you can have multiple people come on. You can do shows like we're doing here. You can do the swing analysis on the live stream shows as well. So AD, limber up because we may put you on there.
Me and Limber.
Leave the shoulder turn jokes alone right now.
I didn't say anything.
Yeah, nobody is.
We'll be coming from the range at Eagle Ridge Golf Club in Lakewood, New Jersey. Right at sunset. Little you'll see my little pull hook because I can't rotate.
We'll turn that into a pull fade.
So sad. So sad. Hey, so you know what else is sad? Liv's golf or TV contract. Why can't they get a contract?
Because nobody cares. I mean,
Bingo! Thank you, Andy. I was waiting for
nobody
it.
cares.
And
Like they were
we're immediately going to the Andy Horn Live report.
Yeah. I mean, I just think
I dropped my phone.
it's been amazing, like just level of golf but louder seems to be getting quieter. It just now that all of the the nitpicking and the battling and all of the tribalism between the PGA Tour and the Live people has kind of calmed down. And I think it has really calmed down. That's a bad thing for Greg Norman and the Live Golf Tour. I mean, they're quickly becoming more silent and more silent, and and I'll just throw one more thing in there that I've been kind of dying to say. So Bryson DeChambeau, I think we would all agree, is one of the top players in the world. He tees it up in the Masters, tees it up in the PGA, tees it up in the US Open. He's contending in all of them. The dude doesn't care on Live. He doesn't care. I mean, look at his scores. Like he's barely in the top half of the field.
Right.
So it just goes to show you the one main criticism from the beginning is that it's just not real enough for those players who are the best players in the world. And it just is proving itself out in a very kind of convincing way to me.
BB, you had the two top players, probably two of the top four names of draw in Live world, battling it out. Rom and Koepka. That's I forgot who. I should remember be able to remember four names. And they couldn't get any traction off of that at all. Nothing.
No, they got outrated by pickleball. So
Events and venues.
That's
yeah,
right.
I was just gonna say that. I know. We had two good personalities, but yeah, it's like there's no more spark. Like when it was sparky, then it was a little newsworthy, and then there was some attention, and now it's subsided. So now it's just golf, and nobody's interested in that, even if you've got some personalities.
Well, I think the very fact to Andy's point, the fans, they don't care. They actually love the fact that the majors come back around, and those guys, the ones we've been mentioning, the Roms and the Kepkas and the Brysons, and I'm going to throw Cam Smith in there, who I feel robbed us as golfers and
Yep.
fans of his talents, and for that reason, I'm angry with him. I don't care about anybody else. There was a couple other guys that I thought could have broken through, Neiman and things like that. But we've had multiple champions now, live golfers of the majors. Does anybody care?
No, I think, you know what? If we want to do this rating thing, we might as well throw Bryson's YouTube channel and some of these other YouTube channels in
Yep.
there. I bet they outperform,
Oh, he wins the PIP. He wins the PIP in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
but he didn't get an invite for next Wednesday's Creator Classic before the Tour Championship.
Hmm.
No.
Yeah, but I think that's a great point though, Brendan, that you make, because it's really evident that it's not even I I I think it's third on Bryson's list of things that he cares about.
Yeah.
I think majors is number one. I think YouTube's number two, and live is number three. I mean, it just seems painfully obvious that that's the case.
And playing barefoot's apparently number 4.
God.
That
No,
was not a good episode. I'm sorry. Just not.
My brother.
yeah, for all of you listeners, we're talking about the John Daly episode that Bryson did. So just just to point out what we're referencing here.
Well, I'm going to take a level of optimism out of this. He's like, yeah, I hit that 280. AD can still get it out there about 235.
Okay, here's the other thing that drives me absolutely bananas about Bryson, right? So he's talking about his 3 wood, now he hits it 280, and then Daly asks him what loft is his 3 wood, and he goes, it's 13. So what on earth makes that club, sorry, a 5 wood, he kept calling it.
I would, yeah.
Yeah. So he's saying he hits his 5 wood 280, and what on earth is the characteristic of that club that you would call it a 5 wood? Because it's not length, it's not loft. I mean, it's a damn strong 3 wood. That's what it is.
Yep.
Stop with the
Well,
bullshit.
throughout his bag, he's playing everything the length of which club? A 5 iron?
600.
6 iron? So right there, you're going to get a little bit extra boost out of it. Not taking anything away from the guy. I mean, he can hit the shit out of the ball, but there's a lot of things. And it's not just Bryson. Like a lot of these guys on tour, you got tour guys at your club, Andy. I'm sure that they're playing beefed up clubs and strong lofts and
I don't think they do it with irons though.
no.
Oh, no, I don't. I
That's
think
that's interesting because back in the day, and you've heard me mention Mike Wynn, and Bobby knows him from his days. He always would ratchet his irons up. Um, 8s would become 7s.
yeah, I think that's not really what happens now. I think first of all, anyone who plays this game for a living that isn't more dialed into gapping his clubs in his set. I mean, sometimes if you look at Bryson's numbers, they don't make any sense. So, like the club that he's hitting 250, the next club he's hitting 260, but then he's got a wedge that he hits, 150, and the next club he hits 135 or 130. So he's got these huge gaps at the bottom of his set and these small gaps at the top of his set, or vice versa. However, the longer clubs he has smaller gaps. I mean, that makes no sense at all. Like no sense.
You know what? I want to interject a little bit of a coaching strategy or club fitting or what have you. But Brendan, I don't know how you feel about this, but I have I've moderated my stance now. I've gone from not extreme, but one thought process of, yeah, golfer, driver, 3-wood. I don't want anybody to hit a 3-wood anymore. I don't care if a golfer that comes to me has a 3-wood. They never hit it well. They never have the right conditions to hit it. They need perfect conditions to hit it to get the benefit of a 3-wood. I'd rather have them have other clubs, scoring clubs, anything like that. I think some people have just got get the right driver for your tee shot club. Or I call it a tee shot club, whatever that means. It's what you tee off with. Doesn't have to be a driver. But I've seen so many people have a 3-wood in the bag. They rarely hit it, and when they do hit it, they hit it awful, and it's just not suited for the average golfer. Average golfer.
I've five iron's the highest iron that I carry. And then I've got a hybrid that's I think it's 19 degree. And then I do have a strong 3, like Andy was talking about. That's 13. But like, and I tell my students this, I go, you're so concerned about how you hit that 4 iron or that hybrid. How many times do you hit that club? Focus on your wedges. And Andy, to what you said with the gapping, focus on that. That is 130, 140 yards and in is the most important yardages by far. And then even more so, those 40, 50, 80, inside 100. And most people, that's where they struggle and waste all their shots. So that's where you need to focus.
Yeah,
So,
I go ahead, Alan.
oh no, you go ahead, Andy.
Aren't you pleasant? No, the point I was going to make there is I think, like I know in my own bag, and I think when you get to a certain level of play, like those longer club gaps become really important, right? Because they're the scoring gaps. Like if you have a 3-wood that you know you can hit 250, and then another club that you know you can hit 220, you better get another club in there that you hit 235, right? Because you don't want big gaps on holes that you're going for par fives. And again, I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying because I think for the average player, you need to be way more consumed with the bottom of your set. But I think for me, I definitely paid a lot of attention to what my gaps were and just made a change this past year at those longer clubs.
Can I ask you, do you mind me asking what you carry and what your carry yardages are for everything? Like how you do, because you're the fans, our listeners, our fans, they
Yes.
would be interested in what are you, a +3,
Plus one now.
+1? They'd be interested to hear, what a good player like you has for their setup.
Yes.
What's in the bag, Andy?
Yeah, what's in the bag? So I carry, and I'll start with my wedges. I go 58, 54, 50, like 4-degree gaps, and then my pitching wedge is 46. So I got 4-degree gaps with all of my wedges, and that works fantastically for me, right? And then as you go down the set, you got 4 degrees, 4 degrees, 4 degrees, 3 degrees. I do have a slightly not going to call it game improvement, but it is kind of a fatter soled 4-iron that's 24 degrees that I carry like 210, right? And then I just bought this utility wood with Callaway that I filled this gap with, and that goes like 225 in the air. Um, and then my 3-wood will go like 240 to 245 in the air. So, but I very intentionally, worked by making all those gaps from my wedges all the way up through my 3-wood to be as equitable as possible.
How often do you calibrate your yardages? Do you do that on a regular basis? Like get your
No, I don't do it enough, but and it's funny because, this time of year, the ball goes so far. I mean, it's 105 degrees here today.
yeah.
You know, the ball goes so damn far. And you get into playing in the winter and it's just an entirely different set of ball flight
Uh-huh.
laws and rules that cause different things.
Yeah. Yeah. 70 degrees.
Seriously, there's a huge difference between 70 and 105.
So as a lead in for and Andy, we did play together at the Little Linksters charity event, which, by the way, Little Linksters charity event is coming again soon. Brendan will let you chime in on that in the near future. But let's ask AD what's in his bag. And this is, I've been saying all along, guys, we need to have. I realize most of our listeners, according to statistics, we got a lot of younger listeners out there, but there's older guys like us that have been around the business for a long time, or golfers. And how do you combat? And this is a question I'm going to foreshadow when we get together on Golf Live. Combat the power outage. Because I go back to the days when I was with Bobby in the Mid Atlantic PGA. I mean, I was one of the only ones with a fitting cart with Ben Hogan, and they fit me with a Brunswick Rifle 7.0, and they had to make it as heavy, and I think it was a swing weight, it was like D2. And the whole reason was because I was so fast with my hands, I couldn't come through the ball. I mean, I couldn't flip it, basically. I tried it that way I could take one side of the golf course out of play. And basically had that same set or similar variation of it all the way up until this year. I finally come to grips with, Father Time is catching up. And it's interesting. You say BE. I just bought a new set of blueprints from Ping. I went full circle back to Ping. 6 iron is the longest iron I have in my bag. But I'm carrying 4 wedges. I feel like the old guy.
Yeah.
The old guy is
What's your highest lofted wedge?
58.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine's actually a little weird. I got a 58, 52, 50, 58, 54, 52, 50. Instead of the 4-degree, I should have the 4-degree
Well,
separation.
you have 5 wedges.
Yeah, with your pitching wedge.
Oh, well, yeah, if you want to count that. I don't even. Yeah. But the big one is I took out the rifle shafts, and for the first time I've gone back to I've got S300s back in there. And I have literally, and folks, you're going to laugh at this. Everyone that's listening, I have played 1 round of golf in 2024, one 18-hole round of golf, and I don't have time, and it's partially the frustration factor. So I look forward to, being with Mr. Elliott even remotely to work on the swing. But it's the frustration factor, and I think golfers, that we're maybe to a certain level, they get frustrated as life events and diminishing returns.
I used to think that was an inevitable fact for all of us, and it to for the most part it is. But now I'm changing my thought pattern, like with all this working out and stuff I've been doing the last almost 2 months now. I'm actually seeing distance gains, and I haven't even started. I intend to start doing some speed training too. I don't think I think you can beat Father Time at least by a couple years and still be able. I mean, we've seen Podrick Harrington. We had Mike. Who's the speed guy that came on the show?
Oh, yeah, where you guys the focus is swinging it forward, not to
Mike Romatowski. Yeah.
Yeah. And I use the stack system with my students, and the ones that have gone through the system, and all this, there's a lot of systems out there that are really, really good, but they all have a general theme. And that general theme is like people are conditioned to hit at the ball instead of what Mike was saying when he was on is, you're swinging to up here. Like the finish of the swing is at the top of your finish. It's called the finish for a reason. And people slow down as they come into the ball. And just that simple fact, and my students have told me this, the ones that have gone through the program, they know how to swing fast now. It's not a matter of whether they had the ability to or not. They know how to swing fast now. And it's an enlightening thing when somebody can figure that out, that, you don't stop at the ball or you don't decrease. And when do you step on the gas? You know, what part of the transition down from the top do you step on the gas?
And
Bobby, Bobby,
the thing,
the that 15 to 20 minutes a day rolling around on the floor, exercising and stretching the glutes. I mean, it's everything, right?
Why, you've been watching me?
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, I agree with BE, and part of it, it's a life thing. You get busy, I get busy, you get busy. To me, I've seen it where as you're getting older, maybe it's eyesight, maybe it's balance, it's certainly physical. You don't hit the center of the club quite as the same. The flexibility isn't the same. All these things come into play. If you play golf, even at not playing great, but making the golf swing, I think that's why that study in Sweden said people that live 5 years longer on average to play golf. It's the physical motion. You may suck at golf, you may whatever, but if you're out there and you're swinging, that club's up over the shoulder and you're trying to make this physical motion, and that helps your balance and it helps your hand-eye coordination and your spatial orientation. That all plays together, that if you're not playing it, you're not playing any golf later in life. And I've seen it and I'm experienced it at certain degrees. Yeah, it's damn frustrating. You don't strike it as well. You don't feel the same speed. But when you start to play a little bit more, I think it does come back. And certainly, I'm actually looking into that for this winter to try to be a little more committed physically and working out. Did my wife hear that?
Andy, you were going to add something?
no, I was just going to add the whole thing with Mike Romatowski and Mach 3 was the most interesting thing to me is, to your point, Brendan, when you understand what you're supposed to be doing, you gain speed immediately by
Yes.
understanding.
Yep.
Understanding what your intent should be. Like when they bring students into their lab and they put them through the system, the minute that they teach them speed out front and where to focus their intent, like people gain, that's not from training, it's not from flexibility, it's not from strength, it's not from
Yep.
any, it's
Understand.
merely from knowledge and intent. And I think that's
You know
one of
what's
the
impressive?
amazing
Well,
things about what
we've
they
we've got. I'm leaning in, uh, and it's not to get my Q mixer.
do.
Um, Old school was to me, and how I interpret it was all about rotation. You got to the top of the backswing. To me, I called it LIFO, last in my left hip, first out my left hip. I cleared the left side, and again, part of it was out of fear of hitting it left, a la Hogan, right? So I took one side of the golf course out of. Now the modern is all about ground stroke, ground pressure, ground this. I don't understand any of that shit, but I hear him talk about it, and I'd be interested to hear, and I'm sure the listeners would be, what's the right answer? I mean, you guys are accomplished instructors. What should it, and player plus one. Um, he was so silky smooth when we played together. My God. What's the right answer? BE? Andy, who wants to take that one first?
I'll say something real quick, and I think Bobby had something to say too. I simplify it because you can get way too deep into this stuff. Um, Visually, it's good if you have pressure plates or you have a mat or something where you can see what the feet are doing and how you're shifting your pressure. But the simplicity that I tell my students is before you start to transition from the top, or even before you get to the top with your hands, you need to be shifting your way into your left side. That's the big thing the last couple of years, these biomechanics and or identifying that the tour pros do that the rest of us don't do is they get into that left side early. And it's not about clearing the hips. I mean, that's part of it, but it's before it's that split second before you start to get the hips going, moving towards the target.
I have my code, my little code that I throw it out to my to JoJo, or one of my guys at the golf course. Great kid, stone cold assassin, you know. But he stands there in the golf shop all the time. He's like, and he's working on it. If you visually, you can see me, Joe. This is what you do. This is what old man sees. And I'm
You
just sitting there
you
going,
doing it in the window? Is he
huh?
in the window?
No, he just does it randomly in the golf shop. And I'm like, Joe, what are you doing? You got to get into your left side. You got to get down. You got to get into that AD. AD. I'm like, yeah, I said that shit don't work for me.
Bobby, you want to go? Because I got something here too.
Yeah, well, I mean, the ground force stuff, you start talking about some technicalities that people, like Brendan said, don't have a clue about, and a lot of people might want to feel that power, but they don't have the right flexibility. Their hamstrings are tight, their groins are tight. They just physically will never have a chance to do it. So, that that whole that whole spectrum of the golf instruction is very specialized, to very, to me, elite area. I just want people to have some pretty good balance. If you lose your balance, just let it go forward a little bit, a la Gary Player. But for me, a lot of people are just struggling with balance because they're trying to swing so hard. They're seeing what's happening on the tour, and everybody's getting back on the heels, back on the right side, super fast armsiness, and it's just everything's so out of kilter that they hear stuff, and it's I'm trying to come up with a good analogy, but they just hear stuff, and forever. It's happened to a lot of instructors. Somebody comes in, I want to swing like Tiger. Really? Tiger's the best. I want to swing like the best. Really? Can we move on? I mean, it's not going to happen.
No, I think for me, the thing that's most evident is that technology, while it's very useful, the main thing that technology's done is it's given explanation for why people are good and why people move their bodies well. So whether it's TrackMan data, whether it's force plate data, it gives people the commonalities through data about why people swing the club good, right? So I don't think it's really any different, AD. Like like you talk about rotation, right? So to me, rotation happens with all great swings, but it happens at different times, right? So the people that start rotating earlier stall out, slow down, dump the club. So they're making an attempt to rotate, but they're doing it out of sequence and they're doing it out of timing. Um,
Which
so
is something you and I talked about when we did play together a couple years ago
yeah,
is about sequence and is the sequence out of kilter.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
to get, I'm sorry, but 69-degree shoulder turn or not, when you got lag, like AD's got lag, right? I used to still be able to hit it for a while. It's very sad now, Bobby.
But let's define lag. Like people have a misunderstanding of what that is.
People
It's not,
misunderstand leg drive.
well, there's a lot of things they misunderstand, but lag isn't this angle of what the club shaft is in relation to your lead arm. It's lag is the club staying behind you, staying behind the rest of the body, and as Andy is saying, falling into the proper sequence. People try to create more speed with their hands, and the hands already move. I think it's twice as fast as the body does. So you need to focus on
And they max out at P5 on the way
right,
down.
right. The
So
cast.
yeah, that's where they max out hand speed.
Yep.
But it's interesting too, Brendan. I look at your Hogan Mystique book in the back, right?
Yeah.
Uh, so I think anybody who's ever watched Ben Hogan's Swing Club would agree that nobody's ever rotated as poetically,
Nope.
as fast, as perfectly as Ben Hogan, right? And if you look in that Hogan Mystique book, you will watch or you'll see some photos where his hands are down in his waist on the approach to the ball.
Yep.
Yep.
His hips are still closed to address. His hips are still closed to where they were at address. So what you're seeing in his golf swing, all that, lovely rotation that he has, it happens late. It happens at the right time.
Yeah.
Would you? would you say the same about Tiger? Because I see Tiger, early years Tiger, would just violently clear his left side.
Yeah, and I haven't seen many pictures of where he is at like P5 or P6, right before impact, but it just seems like all the fast rotation for the best swings happens from the point where the club is waist high to impact. That's
Right.
where all the like those people are all freed up to rotate. And everybody else who plays this game is rotated out by the time the ball even or by the time the club even gets to their shoulder height on the way
Yeah,
down.
and then they stall because of that stall out. They stand up and they have to try to create space, and it
Yep.
gets so messy. And
Or
it's
they over rotated in the backswing. Like
Yep.
a no shot.
that's
Yep.
another
Yep.
huge power
Exactly.
loss.
All
Happens.
right, all right, hang on. AD's feeling optimism. I may play another round of golf this week. So the question is, each of you one point to kind of loop this all back together. Andy, I mean, what should the listener be thinking about? Or what should they be reading about?
Oh, well, again, I think it's all about sequence and timing, right? So, and I'm not sure that the listener, can make themselves better for that. I'm a big believer that drills are the way for people to change.
Yeah.
It's blissful learning, right? So you can get somebody to do something that's pretty simple that helps their overall move, without having to explain why they're doing it or how they're doing it. To me, that's the best way to do it.
And I'll add to that the drills you have to be able to feel what it feels like.
Yep.
Um, but you have to commit to that. And I've had a lot of very stubborn people that are like, no, no, it's not working. Well, you've made 4 or 5 moves. This
Yep.
could take weeks, and you have to keep doing it until you have that, ah, I got it. That's what it's supposed to feel like. But I'm going to add to what Andy said that you have to have the feel part, but you also have the knowledge. I feel like there's so many golfers that just spit out and regurgitate what they hear without knowing anything about what they're saying. They don't understand what this proper sequence is supposed to be.
Yeah.
There's so much information you need to know correctly in order
And
to
they certainly can't fix it mid-round.
No, not at all.
No.
Yeah, I would add that probably on the proverbial one hand, I can count how many people over the years, what they thought they felt is what I saw in a golf instruction. And do yourself a favor, see a qualified PGA or LPGA professional. They're going to look at you. They can help you. You can try all you want and say, I'm taking that thing straight back. And I'm like, dude, it's 10 inches inside, swinging her on your hip. No way, no way. Like, so it's just, you need a set of eyes, a qualified set of eyes. It really helps. You can try to take your own video, but just really you can expedite this learning curve a lot more when you go to see the Brennan Elliott's and the top instructors out there.
Can I add one more thing real quick? Um, don't get discouraged, listeners, that there's all this stuff to know and to put the work in and stuff. That's true, but you can still play good golf by. I made my student play with 2 clubs the other day, and he shot 37. He's like, "How did I do that?" I'm like, "Because you weren't thinking about anything. You were just out there freewheeling it and hitting shots." And
You just got to, what you're saying is just get out there, relax, and play the game. And if you have a cue mixer,
That helps.
you're probably going to be relaxed to play the game.
Be the ball,
Mixers is
Danny.
paying the bills this week.
yeah,
Be the ball. Be the ball, Danny.
Yep.
Oh, I'll tell you who did not relax is Tom Kim. Got some major issues going on.
Post Olympic, still mad.
well, you got to feel for the guy, right? I mean, doesn't he have to put in?
When does he have to report to active duty?
I don't know what the timing was, but from what I understand,
Andy's looking at me like a WTF emoji right now. What?
if he didn't get the bronze, this is what I understand, or medal, get any medal. that he was going to have to.
Have to do his
His,
multiple year stint in the army.
yeah.
Don't you think though the people that made up a random rule, like if you don't get the bronze, like that's a random rule for Tom Kim. Like it, it just
Very
seems to me like that's one of those things that
Are
somebody,
you saying he's going to be giving some dignitary's kid a lot of golf lessons?
yeah. I mean, like they were probably trying to motivate him, and ultimately, will they let him
Well,
off?
he motivated him taking a beaver pelt out of the TBC of Southwinds.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Uh, well, it struck near and dear to my heart because it took place on the putting green. He missed a putt, and
Did he
Ooh,
take a chunk out of the
ouch.
green?
oh yeah,
I didn't see that either,
you
but
didn't see that? Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 That's why that was mentioned in the Olympics. I forgot about the military service.
By the way, I like
Bobby, are
Bobby.
you
I like.
typing in birds?
I was going to say I like piping in birds. Is this
Yeah, cricket.
Augusta?
There's a cricket there too, I've been hearing.
I got the windows open. It's 72 degrees and
Bobby's
beautiful.
Bobby's piping in bird noise. That's just perfect.
Will we hear a horse neigh here
Wait a
soon?
minute. Wait a minute.
The horses are out there.
Hello, friends.
Yeah.
They're right there. They're about 40 yards away.
Yeah.
It's a golf show. We gotta sound like we're outside golfing.
No.
I had horses down in the Outer Banks.
There we go.
You ride one?
No, there's rules on that. Just like putting on the greens with 16-year-old daughter of the dean.
What about Hideki? Like Hideki has been on a tear.
What up with that? Okay, gets a bag stolen. Manager and caddy lose their passport, and he has to fly the rest of the way over to Memphis. Fortunately, they didn't get his medal, and basically stares down the top players in the world.
Yeah. And he's been doing this for before the Olympics. I mean, he's been playing well for quite a while. I think here's my sleeper for taking the tour championship. I say Hideki's going to sneak in there.
Good call.
He overcame some obstacles last week.
Yeah.
Well, segue talking about overcoming obstacles. I had a great pleasure. I got to mention that I tweeted him, gave him my digits. Morgan Hoffman. I tweeted you guys and told him. So
Yeah.
literally turn around. He's standing on the first. Matita was the Corn Ferry Tour. I think he finished like maybe top 25. Jersey guy. Anybody that knows his story, up and coming, amazing talent. Diagnosed with muscular dystrophy, disappears off the face of the earth, basically. And he goes to Costa Rica, changes his whole diet and what have you, and came back out of nowhere. Didn't make the PGA Tour with his final 3 starts of his medical exemption, but he's on the Corn Ferry and he's battling it. And I went out on the golf course because I had to leave in a little bit. He wasn't going to be in before I had to take off. Introduce myself. What an exceptional young man. He's in his 30s. Grip, strong ass grip. And there's the kind of story that you just got to root for. He's in the Corn Ferry playoffs, just like the tour. Top 30 earn their cards for next year. He's got a long ways to go to get to the climb, but I just had to share that on there. I mean, if you want a feel good story to root for him.
Was it last year or 2 years ago that he finished out those last 3 events that he had on
I think it was 2 years ago.
I do too, but that was such a cool story to see him back out there and the love that he got from the guys out on tour.
Yep.
Yeah, good guy to root for.
Without question. Anyway, I had to throw that one in there. Andy, got anything else?
Like as far as 18th green or
Oh, if you want to go there, yeah.
any other topics?
No, 18-3 is good.
So can we just talk about, I don't know if you guys saw this, but in the Olympics, Brooke Henderson hit a 2.5 foot putt
Ooh, yeah.
with the flag stick in, and she got ejected. Okay. And can we be done with this stupid ass like debate about whether it's okay to putt with the pin in or not? Because it's not. It's not. I don't care what people say. I get it. Some people feel more comfortable. You need to get over it because ultimately what's going to happen is what happened to Brooke Henderson is, you know, you got that damn thing bouncing off the flag stick, off the edge of the hole on a putt that you'd never miss in a million years. And it's just an accident waiting to happen. Does it happen very often? No. But the fact that it happens once is one time too many. And
They
it's,
changing that rule? Are they going to change that?
what do you mean?
Or it might go back to you got to take the flag stick out because there's been pace of play issue?
Oh, I don't know that I've heard that. I just think as a player who plays professionally, if you're doing that, you're making a poor decision. And it was funny, the next day I turned it on and I saw she had like a 40-foot eagle putt on I think the 18th hole, and she had her caddy tend it.
Well, and it's, I look, I get it at the club level messing around. You just leave it in, you putt out, what have you. You're playing for money, you're playing for your nation. You got caddies, for God's sakes. Caddies keep the play moving. I can tell you, I was winded after going around Kiowa because my caddy put the whip to me.
Yeah.
Take the damn flag stick out.
It- it's silliness. And let me just add this. So this all happened because Dave Pels did a study, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
this was years ago. He did a study with chipping, whether you should leave the pin in or take it out. And the big difference here is the times where the pin is going to help you is when the ball has a tendency to be moving too fast. When you're hitting a chip shot versus a 20-foot putt, you have a much larger probability of the ball moving too fast, therefore the pin helping you out. So the study made sense for chipping. It makes zero sense for putting. And there was a doctor, I think at Cal, who did a study with putting and at putting speeds, and it overwhelmingly was in favor of taking that stupid flag stick out.
BB,
Who, me?
yeah, would you like to share something?
But
Anything,
I wanted to,
anything you want to get off your chest, Bobby?
yeah, well, one item I thought we might want to talk about tonight was Scotty Scheffler's comments about the FedEx Cup and the playoffs, and he goes, "It's silly." And it was great that the number one player in him could articulate it that way. And the example he gave about, hey, if his neck gets sore and he finishes 30th in the last, like, you do all the, it's almost like the old, some of these NBA, NHL seasons, you play the whole year, but really it didn't even matter. So it's $100 million waste of marketing money in many regards. Nobody can understand it. The point system doesn't make sense. It was just nice for Scheffler to just say, "Hey, I don't get this. This is silly," and I don't know, just bring it up for conversation.
But thank you for the money.
Yeah,
It's not,
I like the fact that he's doing a presser and he's got Xander sitting right there.
yeah. It's not just golf though. Like it's every major sport we've been trying to figure out best case scenario for playoffs or getting into playoffs or to judge who the best is. Even in college sports, like with NCAA football and Final Four for basketball, I just I feel like they should come up with one system and just stick with it. With the tour, they've changed this thing what 2, 3 times now, and
yeah.
and I'm all for some kind of, final stretch, last 3, 4 events, whatever, however they want to put it together. But Scotty made some very valid points for sure.
And I've always liked the idea of give me the hot player, the hot team that just makes it into the playoffs, and they're on a roll. And in golf, you may miss hit the putt, it goes in. You feel with that confidence. And we've seen in the NFL before with teams that are 6 seed that make it in to the Super Bowl, win it. It's happened in lots of different sports. So there's just something, yeah, it's just something weird about that whole how they got the whole thing together. I was glad that Scheffler could say that.
Hey, you may see it in the Olympic IOC men's and ladies golf after my phone call that I made to them.
That's true. The other thing was we didn't get a show in after Chichi Rodriguez died, so
It's true.
that was just I've met him a few times and neat guy personally, and one of those be hard to have another Chichi around with what he did on the course, but mostly off the course.
I met him at the Golf Channel when it was in his infancy. Peter Kessler was a member of the club I was working at, and his show, Golf Talk Live, I went in, I saw Jim Colbert, I saw Chi Chi, I saw Lee Jansen, I saw a bunch of guys where I was sitting behind the camera watching. And Chi Chi had an infamous episode with Kessler where he started getting real emotional, and talked to him afterwards, and the guy was just, he is what everybody knows him as, but he's a very sweet man, very he'd give the shirt off his back to anybody. Just an amazing human being.
So can I tell a little story about Chi Chi? So my youngest brother, um, I think he was probably 7 or 8 at the time. So my dad was playing at the IVB Pro-Am in Philadelphia. Um, my dad was off playing with Dave Stockton, I think. And my youngest brother had difficulties at birth and he's got a tracheotomy. Um, and he's always had one. Well, anyway, long story short, Chi Chi like somehow finds my little brother, like grabs him, pulls him under the ropes, and my brother spent 4.5 hours inside the ropes with Chi Chi and Sarge, his caddy.
Yep.
Um, he was in the Philadelphia Inquirer the next day. It was at White Marsh Valley, Alan.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was just that typical Chi Chi type thing, you know. Um, just such a great moment in a just a cool thing that he did for this young kid who had the time of his life one day.
So it's amazing.
That's good stuff.
That's amazing.
My final thought is, it certainly doesn't follow that, but filming for extras. I was unfortunately out of town. Filming has begun in New Jersey for Happy Gilmore 2.
Yeah, I saw that. They were looking for people.
Up in the Morristown area, apparently they packed an entire place around the building like 3 times, people trying to get in to be extras. I have had the pleasure of meeting Christopher McDonald, who plays Shuda. I will be calling him and saying, we need to be the extras.
Yeah.
He could go on a podcast, incorporate that as part of the show.
Exactly. We can pump him up on the new movie tour.
Last time we did that, by the way, Andrew and Christian got rung up by Facebook for gang signals.
No way.
Yep. And that's all I got to say about that. Boys, always a pleasure. Great to see you again. Everyone, catch us next week. Hasta la vista.